I was expecting a KC 3-0 coming into today. I genuinely thought that that was the gap, but especially after game 1, I really thought that it was going to be a clean sweep. But Heretics, they showed some impressive plays. I thought Stend was fantastic in game 2. His engages were game-changing, and I think that so many members stepped up. So let's see how we fare in game 3 as KC finds themselves back on the blue side. Our fun stat about the blue versus red seems to remain true.
It does. It gets worse on the red side.
So here we go.
I do think, though, a lot of that last game was KC just getting overly excited on the play, not really being in it, like thinking, hey, how is this actually going to impact? How can we follow up correctly? And we even heard that snippet from Yike saying the exact same thing, like make sure we're on the same page. And unfortunately, it didn't happen, but at least for the KC Smolder ban, I'm smelling the Senna first pick here, potentially for KC.
Seems about right, doesn't it? Team Heretics ban away Senna. Thoughts?
I think it's a good ban.
You also leave away Caliste, by the way, which has gone through this series so far.
It's really not been a high priority. I mean, when you look at what Flakked has played so far this split, Caliste's not on the list. It's not something that Heretics have put a big priority on. The Victor ban may seem strange to some at home, but Vladi, very well known for his Victor in particular. And as we get deeper into the series and more champions are removed from the pool, Heretics are cautious about leaving this one open. But leaving the Senna open, they have to have expected this, and so what scaling champ will they bring out themselves? Is it something like the Seraphine from Flakked, maybe? Oh, they're going to take away the Nautilus, a strong component of what makes the Senna very powerful.
Yeah, we have seen in other regions, though, that like teams are happy to still go for some other picks alongside it, but I have seen a lot of it like Alistair, which has actually already been taken away, so I am curious exactly what they want to try and match it and pair it up with in that bottom side, but either way, Senna incredibly strong, and not only just with something like a Nautilus, but enabling something like a Silas, something like these bruiser front lines, even the Zhao, which is up and available as well. So I think you've got a lot of picks here for the top side of KC that will still benefit from this Senna.
When will Sheo start moving towards the tankier jungles? We've largely seen him on high impact so far. The Tristana, if that is locked in, very flexible pick. We've seen it a few times from Kamiloo in mid lane. We're yet to see it this split from Flakked, but of course there's always the possibility of it moving towards the bot side of the map, because you think about Tristana plus Nautilus, that is a scary 2 versus 2 bot lane combo to go up against. All being gone, Nautilus is a possibility, maybe Braum, maybe even Tahm Kench. We haven't seen much Tahm Kench in recent history, but there's that Zhao that you were talking about, Dagda.
And there's the Braum that you were talking about.
That's so good.
But again, I like what Vedius was saying there. It's, hey, look, we get that disengage. We've already got good setup for a front line coming through with the Zhao as well. They can just try to play hyper aggressive. It does mean you are somewhat lacking when it comes towards the engage route, though, because you're not getting it good from the jungle and you're not getting it from your support either. So I'm kind of curious what Canna and Vladi want to bring to the table, because when we think of what Canna has been the most successful on, it hasn't exactly been hyper engage focused champions like say an Ornn, but Ziggs, interesting.
Is it double flex, or are we just thinking
No,
Ziggs
I
bot?
think that's Ziggs bot.
Okay.
I mean, when I think of the AP bot laners, Flakked is definitely up on the top of the list.
Yeah.
He's already showcased the Seraphine this split, he's shown the Swain this split, and so bringing out a Ziggs is no surprise to me. Which means that the Tristana are pretty much guaranteed to go into the mid lane. So now they're going to remove some good matchups away from Vladi. The Syndra are going to be the first to be taken away.
Okay, well, Syndra gone off the board. Let's see how this gets more and more interesting, because already we don't often see Ziggs. It's just nice to see like AP bot laners. Again, we're assuming this is where it goes. Great with CC as well, as we remember the Leona lanes were the common pairing. As Pantheon taken away for an engaged jungle.
I think Hwei would be a good ban. I'll never forget watching Chovy at MSI, I want to say last year, when he brought out Hwei as an answer into Tristana, when Tristana was like the meta mid lane pick, and he just made fun of the Tristana. Now, of course, part of this is Chovy's Chovy, but after he played that, I started seeing a lot more Hweis into that matchup just because of how safe you can feel. Looks like instead they're targeting towards the top side of the map. I wonder if Vladi will look to get the Hwei for himself.
I'm curious if we end up seeing the Ambessa from Canna essentially to just be that engaged tool, because it feels like at the moment like Nara now taken off the board, unless you're going to go back towards something like the Kennen, and try and use that as engage. I'm just not really sure how you're going to start fights as KC, and already you've got Tristana, who will scale really well thanks to her passive. Ziggs as well, going to hit you from long range, so just playing out this game seems a little tough.
I mean, I do often think back to 1-1-3 on his Zhao, the way in which he would often stack his Q and then use that as a snap engage tool. So I don't think they're completely out of options. It's very much a follow-up to move alongside the Xin. So once that initial impact does come in, like, what is going to be the follow-up CC that really shuts down things like a Zig and a Trist that have that mobility?
It's just that they need to be on your screen. And Ziggs kind of gets to a point where he's just like, no, and even to find the beat for Tristana, like, as you approach level 15, 16, she is a long, long way away. So I think it just gets very hard to try and use that as your sole engage tool, and there's that way you were talking about.
All right, so long range engage. Answer to the Tristana mid. Side note, with the Lilia ban as well, with the Lilia locked in as well, maybe we get an AD top laner. I saw the Gnar ban. I'm thinking, like, are we fishing for like an Ambessa or something maybe on the side of Heretics? But you talked about this, Dagda, for KC. It's also a good takeaway, but also you mentioned it's good setup for Canna in this game. And this is in his myriad of 4 champions that right now are really glazing and saying, hey, this is one of his best.
Certainly is. Now, how will Heretics round things out? Because they've given
good
reins
matchup
over to Carlsen,
matchup.
and they're going to give him the Renekton. A strong top side. I will say, when we think about engage, Heretics don't have the easiest ways to start fights. Something that Dagda was already talking about was they do have a lot of mobility, though.
Yep.
Lilia, a very difficult champion to lock down, and there's not a lot of hard crowd control on the side of KC. Similar to Ziggs, he's just going to be poking away at you, especially around these neutral objectives. And remember what we said in the game 1, where Heretics had no champions that were very good at face-checking brushes and were cautious to walk into this poke. Well, KC have somewhat of a similar issue, where who really wants to be that champion that walks into the Ziggs, walks into the Nautilus, maybe even face-checks a Renekton? You do, of course, have the Braum or the Zhao as a possibility, but face-checking this composition is going to be a scary thing to do.
I think it's also just how effective Heretics team comp is at clearing waves in the mid game. Like, Ziggs can just sit on mid wave, immediately one-shot the wave, which opens up Stend, and he doesn't really need the help. He does it from so far away, so it opens up Stend to then play towards side lanes, like have both Sheo and this Nautilus show up towards the Tristana and look for a big lane. It's going to be perfect. So I think that's where it's just, I really like what Heretics have brought to the table here. And that's not even just talking about, hey, you've got a good matchup for Carlsen in this top side, and if you can start to get this Renekton snowballing, it does take Canna a considerable amount of time to really come online in this matchup.
The lane can be held. I know that. A lot of Ambessa mains hate the Renekton matchup. With jungle attention, let's see how it goes. But for KC and Heretics, we're one apiece. We're a best of 5 away from elimination, with one team going home at the end of this first round. The winner to face Fnatic only tomorrow. The prep time is hard, but it's really showing who's the most versatile and who is the most endearing. Not the right word, but you know what I mean in the LEC. Endurance. No. Endearing, endeavoring.
Endurance is the word you wanted.
I just want to know
You'd have to probably say who has the greater endurance, the strongest endurance. I don't know if endurance has a plural.
No, endeavor.
I don't think
it's
they're
an
the
endeavor.
Same word.
No, they're not. I know it's not the same word, but this is an endeavor.
It's okay, you're still learning.
So everyone found out on the Rift and not really going to worry about any sort of evades coming through.
It's hard. It's difficult. Vedius is Welsh and he thinks he speaks better English than me.
No, I've just worked with Medic a really long time, who criticizes my English all the time.
That'll do it. I'm so glad I'm not a color caster, because that guy would rinse me like a dishwasher.
Now, in terms of the early game, Ziggs, I mean, I always think about Dagda, because I always think about Dagda talking about orcs. And he always tells me that, orcs talks about this matchup all the time, especially with the Leona. You can, like, get kills at level 4 or something. All I know of this champion is he likes to farm, and then at a certain point he gets mana, and then he starts to poke and be really annoying.
It's my favorite part about it is that I have someone tweet at me and at Ox every time he gets mentioned on the NXT broadcast for it, so it's a wonderful cycle, you know?
Any kind of reflection you want to add on? Anything misrepresented by Vedius?
This bot lane is a mega farm.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you get to level like 4 and 5, if you've got enough poke down, which I think will be difficult because you are against the healing and the Senna, there is a huge amount of all-in potential that you do have to be very, very careful about. So, especially with the Ignite on Stend, I think this is where it can get a little dangerous. And if you're going, in theory, Flakked, you forego the tier, go for the immediate lost chapter, you get enough AP where you can actually look for a bit of damage on that TP back into bot lane. So you do have to be a little careful. Yeah.
Orcs is definitely right. Okay. It's not often you say. Normally people are sus on him, but
What do you mean, Ox is
always
a legend.
Yeah, he is, but no, he's sausage. People know. People suss on
What
Orcs.
are you talking
because he
about?
knows things. If you ever hear Orcs on the broadcast, he always knows things. He's just like,
Oh, that's what you mean.
oh,
I mean,
sorry.
like he's reading the script or something.
Yeah.
I see.
No, not as a person.
Yeah, that's definitely what we thought.
I just came onto the broadcast and be like, Orcs is a sus person. He's not even our broadcast. He's getting rinsed as well. God, Medic would be good here as well. A little reel in. Targamas, half HP is going to be the trade. I looked up top, and that's going about as you expect it. Low cooldowns early versus long on Canna. And already a slight CS lead is brewing through top.
I think this is just going to be the continuation of Stend. Good hook, and now this is where you just be careful. So if you can land the hook with the root auto attack, you set up for the satchel charge in behind Caliste, then send it back into your side, and it then gets very, very difficult for Caliste to try and escape. And if you got the empowered auto on the passive for Ziggs as well, it can do a lot of work. So just to be a little careful.
Lucky that Carlsen didn't get the empowered W there. It's the best burn of the trade. He took Conqueror in this matchup, not PTA, but still things going well as Sheo's now spotted on the ward. Krug going to be taken, or rather scuttle. Just seeing what he can see in topside jungle that's already cleared.
Yike going to be pathing away. Should be able to secure a Scuttle Crab of his own as Kamiloo maintains the push in mid lane. Nice little trade there from Vladi. See if he's falling a little bit behind in terms of farm, which can be difficult in this matchup just because, I mean, the Tristana loves to push. But it does mean that in the early game, Heretics had push in top, push in mid, while the bot lane largely remains very even. We'll keep track of the Senna stacks. You can see those on the champion icon next to Caliste. But of course, I believe the average I was talking about with Medic just last week was about 60 stacks at about 20 minutes is about a good average.
Okay.
So being above that or just below that is kind of what you would expect around 20 minutes for AD carry Senna specifically.
Used to be 100 for support by 20 minutes, so that was like...
Did it?
Yeah, it did. 100 by 20.
100 for 20, really?
Yeah, when you were support center in a decent spot, solid queue, you can still do it. I've been abusing it a bit. It's all in from Kamiloo. I will say, mid at level 5 is a lot nicer than Kamiloo's used to this series. It's also because Yike hasn't been here yet.
That's true.
Like, he's free. Dobby's free.
I think one of the things you have to be aware of as well is that you need this fear from Vladi to kind of counteract the all-in from Kamiloo. So as long as Kamiloo's able to jump in and you don't have that CC available, he's going to win the trade. So now it's down. You can see Kamiloo jumps in.
Okay, well, the trade. Vladi popped. Reset on the rocket jump as well. Kamiloo might have a bit of time here to make himself back. Vladi, he's got the spiraling to spare now. So Kamiloo pays that respect. Top lane all in once again, but Canna out trades. Gets away from Carlsen once that slice and dice is down.
Slow being applied by Canna allowed him to generate just enough space so that he could actually get that out trade as well. Being a little bit behind in experience means that Canna is forced to play a little bit more defensively. He should tick over soon though. Well, that means maybe 1 or 2 more minions and then he should be able to get that one. But it's a good window here for Carlsen to look for a base, given that he hasn't actually been able to get one just yet. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, Flakked going to use his TP, first one of the game so far. Come back to lane with a lost champion.
Yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a slower pace as though Yike moving topside, but Carlsen should just be able to reset here. The Sheo kind of going to wait until those later game fights where he can set up for the sleep into Flakked, then looking for that ultimate across the top, looking to burst someone out and see if they can find the success. And I think that's why Braum here, kind of crucial for trying to deny that, but all in.
Ulti, yeah, Dominus used. Now getting that Rain of Anger to half. Sheo's coming in, but no sleep available. Yike misses rather hits, but doesn't want to follow up with an audacious charge. And 2v2 in top ends there.
Neither top laner has reset though, so it's kind of a bit of a wet noodle fight. It's kind of going to try and just, there you go, interrupt the reset once more.
Slice and dice gets full Rain of Anger. Culver Meek out as well. Canna just trades up, gets some dashes, and Carlsen actually evens out. Canna has that second Q, misses. But he's still just trying to push the wave out again, so we finally get the reset in top lane, and so we're sitting with Doran's shield.
It's just a very tense back and forth in the early game. No first blood drawn just yet. Oh, Targamas, not quite at level 6 though.
Stend is out with Dredge Line. 2 more hits, concussive blows.
This is what we're talking about, right? You don't really have the engage for KC unless you're looking at Canna's ultimate to try and be that setup. So you're fine as Heretics to just poke your head in and then walk yourself on out. I think they're waiting for kind of this level 6 now for Flakked. and also then the rotation for boy grubs. That's really going to be the pressure point that Heretics are trying to put down, especially as I don't think Vladi can do a huge amount of damage at this early stage of the game. It kind of matches Flakked's fight potential coming into this.
Yeah.
And then it kind of relies on Kamiloo to be that early game carry and see if he can set up alongside Sheo to get some damage there.
Might be a bit chiller then. Stend is just back. Good old man, he needs to give a bit of pressure to Kamiloo, and I understand it. I'll be calling it after the first 2 games again. Grub's up in 15, by the way. Just to chime in, this is one of the first games where, well, this is the first game where Dragon wasn't done. Dead on 6 minutes, out of the way before Grub spawned, so it wasn't an alternative option.
Level 6 just been secured by Stend as he resets back out onto the map. Ward's fully replenished. Junglers just continue to do full clears. Sheo speed running through his jungle, but Yike keeping pace with him. Rare to see against the Lilia, but Yike feeling pretty comfortable. He hasn't really had to shadow his lanes that much, especially given that how passive a lot of the lanes are kind of forced to be. Canna, he knows that he can leave them to just play that 1v1 matchup, and it's a difficult fight against a Renekton anyway. And same situation in the mid and bot lane, so no real need to try and overforce anything. But of course, this does open up Sheo to secure the grubs. Stend is here to assist.
Yike spotted on this top side is going to allow Flakked to contest the bot wave as well, but yeah, Heretics just happy to take all these grubs. There's little that you can do, right? As I said, Carlsen control top side, makes it very simple to come across, and now this Tristana Ziggs combo, this turret-taking duo, is going to be very scary with all 3 grubs.
Then just tagged out on the way out, but yeah, 3 grubs again to Team Heretics. And, you know, I came into today being like, man, if we get Yike on Lilia, holy moly, I got this cool stat to bring up. It's completely irrelevant now. I think that's the other part for Team Heretics. Taking this out of the pool is just like, it's a stab to Yike, where I would say this is one of his best champions of the split.
For sure. I mean, I always think of him as a man of the forest. His Maokai, Ivern, his Lilia, and Zyra were always 4 of his best performing champions back in winter. But he's definitely no slouch on things like the Xin as well. He's a man that can find these snap engages, and it's something we'll have to keep track of. It's going to be difficult to lock down a lot of the members on Heretics, especially with the amount of disengage and mobility they have, the fact that Lilia could so easily dance around in the fights. I feel like the big thing that I'm keeping my eyes on, though, is Caliste on the Senna. She's just such great late-game insurance. We saw Hans Sama just last week do so much work on the champion in the late-game team fights.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying champion, and there's a reason why Casey was so afraid to give it over in Game 1 of the series. And we'll see how Caliste can do as he completes his first item. The Static Shiv now finished. And yeah, no first blood yet, 10 minutes in, but it's kind of as we expected. More slower game given the draft. A lot more about scaling, and I expect the team fights are going to be where a lot of the action will come through.
It's okay, after the last game and how it ended, I'm okay with chilling for the first part of this. Like, it got very hectic, very fast, a lot of forces, and as you said, I mean, Dagda, you already talked about it before, that Lost Chapter now turns into a gun. So that little rat guy, he's got a gun, and he's got his first item finally. Yeah,
I think it's mostly going to be about how do Heretics enable Flakked to clear waves to then set up for plays around Kamiloo. Because again, like the turret-taking potential from Kamiloo and Flakked is incredible, but you can see KC are actually the ones that set up on mid-wave first.
Darkness doesn't connect. Caliste just gets hit with a bowling ball. He's going to wait for the next wave. His Static Shiv was the first pick up hit.
Yeah, and it's the standard. You can see how quickly the Senna can clear out waves, but with the Ludens, you can clear out waves just as quick as the Ziggs. So it's essentially just leave Ziggs on his own in mid-wave and open up Stend for them to roam around the map. But we haven't really seen that come to fruition just yet. Sheo kind of just full clearing on repeat. And Stend now starting to set up a little bit of vision on this bot side river, which to me says they're going to try and do something towards Kamiloo in the next few moments.
I feel like for both teams it's just quite hard to make much of anything happen just because of the sheer amount of wave clear and how safe everyone feels on the map right now. So I think we're just going to continue to see farm until the next objective. Outer towers are of course something that both teams can play for, but if you kind of turn your attention towards bot lane, you'll notice that Vladi just has the ability to immediately wave clear in a similar fashion, and Observer's highlighting it for us now. There's just so much wave clear in the game that sieging is just a difficult thing to do, and really the only players that are getting close to towers are Carlsen and Canna, and that's because they're forced to, as they're melee champions. But the moment that the rest of the map gets involved, I imagine it's going to be a slower affair, which is why we're waiting 2.5 minutes. I wonder if, I mean, either side will even try and contest the dragon. I think both sides want to continue to scale up, work towards that second core item. before really trying to overforce something, as Canna really starting to win out on these trades now.
Hwei. This is that call to make. I will say, the fact that Canna got through the early lane, it's only a 400 gold lead. As a counter matchup, you'd be like, I'm chilling with that. I'm happy with that. You know, getting up to first item on Ambessa, man, it feels good when you have Eclipse. When you have shield bash in your kit as well with a W, the damage is disgusting. It just should not be a thing. You're getting triple value there.
Especially when you synergize it with the grasp too.
Yeah. Oh boy, that champion. But look, again, I feel like Canna's happy coming out of this lane. Is only 7 CS down now, getting the push in top, while KC are making a play towards bot because Dragon's spawning in 2 minutes and get some deep vision as part of it.
Yeah, I think the fact that Kamiloo doesn't have a first item here is a little unlucky. Targamas will get hooked up, but there's not going to be much follow-up here. As you can see, like the Ludens, Karmine doing so much work for Vladi and just being able to hard push waves.
Yep.
Kamiloo can't really contest the wave stage without having that, and a lot of that is the fact he's gone for gold, so we'll get a nice balloon of gold soon. But it does mean that KC just trying to play off that push they have in mid and boss, looking for invades, but they're not going to get too much off the back of them.
So Utal, just a more expensive item as well. No Magic Mantle also in his inventory, but I like that you pick up the Cole. That's about to finish. 2 minions from now. Next back might reap more rewards here is, guys, it's okay. Look, we had a 20-minute first blood only the other week. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember where it was. No, it was the Koi and KC series, wasn't it? And in the end, they got bored. They're like, we got to dive. we got to do something. And maybe that'll happen again in this game where it's just like, man, I'm so sick of sitting around and farming.
Oh, there's that Yuntal's now completed for Kamiloo.
Got Merc treads with it as well.
Yep. So nice injection of gold thanks to the call, as Dagda was saying. 45 seconds now until the Dragon is hoping we get a bit of action on the rift.
And that's what I was just looking at. Carlsen gets push in top, so could actually start to lean down towards mid lane if they really want to. And looks like that's what's going to be the play, is KC trying to test mid wave, but just getting vision at the moment. Kept his TP, so actually lost a little bit of the gold lead on the last plays. He wanted to keep his TP for a potential Dragon fight. And there are some nice wards that he could look to try and move to, but the fact Stend has only just gone for the reset means the Heretics have to give it a lot of control on the map right now.
So it's KC that have control of the bot side river for now, because Vladi gets the initial push. But Yike is pathing towards top right now. Dragon is completely open. Sheo on the top side of the map as well, but he's starting to path down. Both teams, I would say, are a little late for Dragon, but maybe Yike just doesn't care. Maybe he wants to make the trade for Dragon in exchange for the Herald. He's hovering around the top side river for now. Canna's also cautious to approach the wave. And he's going to start this objective off, all right. So, yeah, Casey is just saying, we would rather have the structural damage rather than play for the second Dragon of the game, and I think that's completely reasonable. Targa's got to be careful here.
Good route, turns into full engage. Sheo's on the way with Flakked as well. Targamas up against the wall. The door's now out, but a bit more of a bedtime routine set up for Targamas as the explosive charge sets up. And over the wall, Sheo finds. Vladi has already sent out spiraling despair. He won't be stunned up, but passive from Braum is down. 1 kill, the first one at 15 minutes over to Team Heretics.
And there's that combo we were talking about, just setting up for Flakked's ultimate to try and pick off members. Targamas nearly able to escape, but Heretics able to get the first blow.
I do have to question the positioning of Targamas there, though. The play is very clearly the Herald. Even if you drop a ward over the pit, like, what information do you hope to gain? Like, even if you just watch them secure the Dragon, you really don't garner much. So he put himself in a dangerous position for very little benefit, it feels. And it means the Heretics secure themselves first blood.
Might be more though. The jump in from Kamiloo is nice. Meanwhile, top lane dominance going to be used, and Carlsen going to get ulted on the way out. It gives Canna a step out, and a throw count step will keep him alive. Meanwhile, on the bot side, the play's turning sour. The ulti moved mid-air. Kamiloo got out thanks to that. As Carlsen looks for a little bit more up here.
I will say that the Dragon doesn't end up falling. Reminder that so much time was actually spent by Heretics chasing that kill. The resets came through. Sheo went back to start clearing the rest of his jungle. And so this objective is still up, and it's going to be started by Yike. So he secures the Herald, he turns his attention to the Dragon, and now it turns into a longer play of, well, if Casey can secure this, exchanging Targamas' life for ultimately their second Dragon of the game, mega worth.
TP going to be burned as well. Vladi makes his entrance, and 4 people now in front of Dragon. If it didn't secure it before, now makes 2.
Yeah, already the TP to the bot side for Kamiloo as well, so Heretics not going to be there in time to try and commit.
But notice, Sheo, recognizing the Dragon's gone, immediately moves into Yike's jungle and starts stealing away all his camps. A ping does come down into their side of the jungle, somewhat expecting Sheo to be on this side of the map. But he's going to extend his lead somewhat.
Yeah.
Not too significant, but you can see a 700 gold lead advantage over Yike, as Yike's very much focused on getting these objectives. He has the Herald. He's gotten 2 dragons for his team. And while Heretics kind of doing what they can to get their laners ahead. And so far, it's just red bars at the bottom of your screen.
Flakked has been getting some alone time on the mid wave as well, and I think that's kind of where KC looking for these cross maps. It can help in trying to get structures down again. You can take these towers very quickly with the combo they have, but it just hasn't been enough, right? You're not getting as much damage as you'd like to off the passive auto attack from Flakked, and most times Caliste has been able to get back to defend. So now you're 2 dragons down, and you're kind of being forced to play with the KC fire before I think you're really in a position to, because you do want 2.5 items here.
Yike just face checking through brush. He's going to be found. He pops his ulti, but Stend gets poked from big range. Sheo comes in. He won't find too much. I'm not sure if he wants to pull, but I'm waiting for this pinch. Caliste finds Flakked from mid. He walked into the play, now flashes out, but the piercing darkness finds him instead. Out, no! Yike gets him by the tip of the spear.
Flakked moving from mid gets caught by KC, and now KC looking to keep Heretics from being able to enter into mid tower, because Rift Herald will be able to take that structure with the help of Caliste here.
A super valuable pick from KC, because Dagda's been talking so much about the wave clear that this Ziggs provides. The moment that he's gone, it just easily opens up this tower. Caliste trying to escort the Rift Herald towards the tier 2. It won't do as much damage, but hey, you'll take what you can get.
May also be the play on bot side though. Kamiloo going to have to be careful as Vladi's starting to step up. No real engage coming through from jungle support of KC though. It means that they will just open up the wave push for Vladi and let him crash this wave so we can get the reset himself.
So I feel like that mistake from Flakked, kind of uncharacteristic as far as the series goes, especially when he was old reliable in that misfortune last game. The scaling Ziggs, now it's giving gold over, gives it over to Yike, you know, and Yike has been in control, I feel like, for a lot of this series, and this is the one game when we start talking up Sheo. Now, granted, Sheo is still ahead, but a kill in the back pocket never hurts here. As our next timer needs to be the Atakan coming up in 35 seconds. Dragon 2 minutes 30. KC are moving towards the Assault point. We have to look towards, especially since it's a Hextech Soul. Hextech Soul with range feels like very good for a chase down comp.
Definitely could be. You'll notice that Caliste a little bit below the average as we get to 20 minutes, but I think that's simply due to the sheer lack of trading that's been happening on the Rift.
Would you say the average was 60?
60, normally around
60 on a good day, right?
No, I think it's just
a day.
Just a day.
Yeah, a good day maybe 70.
Yeah,
80,
I would say a good day would be 70.
So is this a bad day then?
No,
it's a day.
I think it's a day, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
like we just tick over to 20s if he's at 54, so that's within the standard deviation, I would say.
It's a day, yeah.
It's perfectly fine. Yeah, and again, it makes sense in the context of the game, especially when you think like he has not interacted with the Ziggs at all.
True.
They have just shown up to the lane, cleared the minions, and then left again. So he hasn't really been able to generate much stacks actually hitting other targets.
And you can even tell from his build, he's aware of this, right? Static shift into rapid fire cannon, he's much more about, hey, I can auto attack the wave from further away and get it pushed in even quicker. So it's not about trying to deal damage with this. It's just like, cool, I know what my job is. And at the moment, KC, I've been doing a decent job of keeping in check. But again, I think Heretics have those the comp that can turn on a dime and very quickly find the pick. So I like the way KC are just moving as a unit whenever they clear mid, making sure they've always got the numbers advantage, and Caliste is always aware with the Dawning Shadow of any potential plays to keep them shielded.
Just out. They're going to start clearing away vision though, Team Heretics, as Yike waits and lures around the corner. Vladi waiting for the wave. He's almost got 2 items himself as well. That Hextech Holdenator next on the list. I see Kamiloo heading towards what looks like an Infinity Edge as well. At this point, as we rub-a-dub-dub in the tub, I love that emote. 300 gold was the only lead for Team Heretics. 45 seconds, the Dragon. Atakan is a trade, maybe, you know, with KC holding leverage over those Dragons. Something that we might have to think about as we approach that timer.
I do love the way we're seeing Yike play this though, because he's constantly just up towards his top side and been playing around Vladi, right? And the only job he has is to make sure that he can push this wave in, so you can always start to lean down. You get this wave in, and it gates basically this Tristana for being able to move from this side of the map. And with that, you're able to get control as you need around the Dragon area.
Into a pick, hang on, let's go Dominus. Carlsen there, ulti, gives an escape, Stend, Dredgeline into the turret. Canna plays with him, gets his flash, and KC is using this as a turn. Teleport spells disaster. Dredgeline spells death, the wall not far enough, and a kill over to Caliste. KC play it smooth.
Exactly. Hysterics. Smooth indeed. Canna doesn't panic. He doesn't even expend the flash. Heretics recognizing Yike on the top side of the map. Tried to make a play of their own. The back isn't interrupted. But now they get themselves a kill and they get themselves a tower. Excellent punish from KC as they get themselves a nice gold lead and also the third dragon of the game.
Also a nice little predict from Caliste on the W as well. Catching Stend midway through the dredge line to the wall.
Yeah.
We see it on the replay here as, again, like, we get that control from Yike on that top side. He immediately shifts to mid, shifting both the Senna and the Braum towards his bottom side. And Canna plays this fantastic sidestep on the hook, sends Stend underneath the tower. He now has no flash. And Heretics are just trying their damnedest to get out of here. But watch, as you get that, Stend, okay, would have hit Carlsen, but ends up connecting with Stend as well. And just nicely done. So, good pick up there by KC.
You could see how well Canna read the intentions of Stend as well, because he kind of used a skill to move down, and then he deliberately clicked back up, very much expecting that hook to come through. So, he really did straight up outplay Stend and convert a nice pick for his team.
After last game, listening to the comms from Yike, where they're like, he was saying actively, they're not on the same page, they're not on the same page. This game has been much of like a, okay, pull it back, a lock back in, and KC have been very reserved. Now, granted, Team Heretics could say the same thing, but togetherness is beautiful. And KC have been showing us the, you know, the beauty in friendship.
I think it's also, if KC kind of need to be in this position as Targamas.
Oh, just disengage just for now.
KC kind of need to be in a position where they're on the front foot and contesting Heretics as they're taking position onto these objectives in River, because they kind of want to look for picks like this.
Oh, hex flashing time.
But they kind of need people to be face checking brushes for the route from Caliste, for Targamas to get a slow, maybe even the ultimate. But these are kind of the choke points that make the KC comp easier to hit the skill shots that they need.
There are some hitting onto Yike, especially. Team Heretics from the choke. Carlsen's up in the wave. You look at mid lane, there's not involved Alright, Canna and Kamiloo. They're going to be walking up to this play. Good poke, and especially with Atakan aggroing KC. They can't stick around. And Atakan, it hasn't reset yet, but Team Heretics don't want to pull the leash.
The poke coming through from Heretics is something that KC are a little too worried to go up against. So they choose to no longer extend this combat and instead disengage.
The thing is, though, it's KC who've reset quicker, right? They're the ones that go, right, we've already come back with Canna. He's now moving into his bottom side. We already shifted Caliste in towards mid, so he's able to clear out that wave. Caliste even took the Scuttle Crab as well, as this kind of positioning around the Atakan was going on. So it's just set up then for KC to be in a better spot as they come back out onto the map. Maybe even look for a repeat of push mid and get control over this top side to look for that top tower.
That Infinity Edge, though, now finished for Kamiloo.
Let's see it.
Level 15, getting very close as well. A much slower toe compared to what we've seen so far in this series. Game 1 was a one-sided stomp with 17 kills to 3 and just a masterclass from the top side of the map from KC. Game 2 is an intense back and forth with picks, blunders, awesome plays from across the board. And here in Game 3, as you guys were saying, the approach seems to be slow it down, kind of reserve ourselves. Remember that this is, I mean, for both sides, there's a guaranteed 2 more games, including this one. So this slower approach, much more methodical. Take that opportunity to breathe and think about your next move. As the next move for both sides right now is KC secures Atakan as Heretics looks to cross map and attack the bot tower.
But again, it's kind of KC having the better decision making on the map, right? We talked about that quicker reset, get back on the map, push mid, force that play on the top half of the map. And forcing the play on the top half is where the objective is. So even though you train on towers, you're still getting Atakan, and you're still in a position to defend mid. And I think these are the little things that KC are doing, which is just not so much growing that gold lead, but the advantages, right? And now they're on the third dragon, a minute and a half until that comes through. You've already got 3 items complete onto Senna. You're going to have the Vladi starting to reset for his objectives as well, or sorry, his items as well. As you can see, he had gotten a ton of that gold off of the waves that he's been collecting in topside. So KC kind of just making good decisions, whereas for Heretics, I think they're making plays away from where that core is, but it's kind of been their hand forced by KC.
Carlsen goes fishing. KC, speaking of hands being forced, they want to walk over towards Dragon. Baron's up, by the way, and again, I said it before with Atakan, now I'll say it with Baron. With a minute to go, even with Kamiloo finding top turret, KC have the leverage of having that Baron up at the same time. Their soul's also available.
All the TPs, all the flashes are available for this next objective fight, though. So a lot of this is going to come down to kind of getting control over mid and then hoping to look for some sort of play after. At least the beauty for KC is maybe can effectively trade, like force Heretics to overextend towards Dragon, and then we can look towards a Baron play or pick off members of Heretics as they come through. But I think KC, their positioning just isn't good enough at the moment to try and contest River, so they're just going to force the tier 2 tower mid and try and draw Heretics out of the River.
They're doing exactly that. I think they're doing it well, but I'm looking at Carlsen now trying to edge for a flank. Pinch not there for yet, and Stend might just be the target. Free souls for the time being as that last embrace down. Sends out with a dredge line. Canna's coming in as well. Kamiloo, another angle. Carlsen thinks about it. Dominus over the wall. Onto Caliste. He gets stunned, but it's immediately cleansed, and he's destroyed! He doesn't get a chance to play League of Legends. It's Kamiloo the same. Good dodge away from Canna. He gets out, but Team Heretics are down a man.
Carlsen thought he had that moment to get onto Caliste, but the cleanse, too clutch. Now Heretics moving back in towards this Dragon, desperately trying to stop this stuff from going over.
Trying to force an engage like that when you have Ziggs Tristana, you want to be poking at your opposition, and Casey set the sights for the Dragon.
Flakked, he has no mana in the back of the pit. They need to burn this, get away, and Canna's the only one to steal. Yike takes the soul, and Team Heretics are going to take the grey screen. Easy as you like. KC outmined their opponent.
I mean, KC just pick apart Heretics. The idea behind how they wanted to play the fight just felt so miscoordinated from Team Heretics. Carlsen going in straight onto the backline. That's what the Braum wants. He wants you to close that gap. And what happens the second the Renekton tries to get on top of the Senna? The cleanse comes through. The peel is there from the Braum. The heal is ready. And then it creates a numbers advantage after securing that kill. They take out Sheo, and now they get themselves a Baron. And just like that, what was a dead-even game state has ballooned into full KC control.
The ult from the Ziggs to try and steal the Baron, but after the last game, Yike, far more on point when it comes to these smites. We can see here, right, Carlsen goes in, but again, there's no real follow-up. Kamiloo can't really get into position. The cleanse is perfect. KC just turn and burn onto the Croc, and then Heretics, the desperation sets in. They know they need to stop this out from going across, but they just don't really have the tools. You called it in the fight, Hysterics. No mana left on Flakked. Sheo's stuck in the pit. And when Stend goes in, it's only the flash forward from Vladi that then ends up setting up for more kills for him throughout the course of this.
Yeah, I really just think that Heretics didn't know how they wanted to play this comp, but it's not an easy comp to play.
Yeah.
You've really got to leverage range. You've got to utilize a lot of patience. And while it's been a slow game, Caliste has continued to stack up. This Senna is about to tick over to level 17 alongside Vladi. And with this Baron buff, KC are not slowing down. They've already taken one tier 3 tower down. And there's an inhibitor next on the agenda.
You can see Team Heretics is trying to trade. They'll get an objective bounty, but this is not ending here. Inhibitor drops. Top turret's going to go next. KC have easy rotations. But yeah, I love you talk about the comp. I'm going to pause for now because it's 1v1 versus Sheo. Sleepy time for Sheo first. Canna tucked him in, and then he went to his own bed.
It's crazy that Canna got the kill before the sleep even came into effect.
Yeah.
Nicely played by Canna. And now the Nexus is in their sights.
I mean, it is because Shadow's down for 40 seconds. Spiraling Despair, Dawning Shadow, everything in the kitchen sink thrown out. Stend goes home. He's hoping to heal up, but if only just. He's positioned outward. KC have heals, they have sustain, they have range, they have an open Nexus, and they lock the hell in for this game 3, leaving nothing to chances. Yike leads the ship, and KC one step closer to Fnatic tomorrow.
It was slow, it was methodical, it never gave Heretics a chance in hell. KC bite back in game number 3.